the ultimate solution to mankind's energy problem is renewables, and of which solar is a key one.
But we have one fundamental goal, and that's to grow the market for solar energy in Canada.
You know, how long has the solar industry been in Canada? You know, and people are often surprised to learn that actually solar water heating systems were sold in British Columbia in the 1890s, so well over 120 years ago.
The early solar business in Canada was quite small, and it went on for many years, but it was mainly small rooftop systems, mostly for remote cabins and whatnot, and people in the cities who wanted to have solar energy on their roof.
I began in solar in 1975 with a personal interest. I put solar hot water system on my in-laws' cabin, which is on a remote Georgian Bay island. It worked so well that I also added PV to it, and then in 1977 I went into the solar business full time. In the 70s and 80s, solar was primarily solar space heating and water heating. PV was very expensive, and it was primarily for off-grid applications. There were two solar industry associations prior to CanSIA. Back in the 80s, there was a solar thermal group and a PV group, and I became chairman of the thermal group in 1990, and my mandate at the time was to merge the two associations into one stronger industry association, which we now call CanSIA.
CanSIA played a very key role in helping the solar industry get to the point it has gotten to in Canada. And their technique for doing it, I always felt, was very good, because what they did was they operated as an interface between the industry and the government in a very positive way in Ontario. In other words, it was cooperative. It was not confrontational.
When I started as executive director of CanSIA in 2002, the focus we started looking at is how can we actually get programs started for the solar industry.
That all changed in the province of Ontario mainly when they introduced a subsidy called the Renewable Energy Standard Offer Program, is abbreviated as RESOP. It was started in 2006, and it led to the feed-in tariff subsidy being offered by the province of Ontario in 2009. That changed everything. You started to get large systems.
Over the 5 years I was at CanSIA, the most pivotal times were right from the beginning, because we had to sort of rebrand ourselves in a more significant way. And so the first lever we had was our conference, and we moved it from Ottawa to Toronto. We had 450 people at the first conference in 2007, and we thought that was miraculous. And 4 years later, we had 4,000. So that was clearly a pivotal moment.
We've seen a huge uptake and growth over the past 4 or 5 years. And the role of CanSIA has really been navigating through the uncertainty, dealing with government and members to make sure that issues that come up are dealt with, and really try to smooth out the implementation of a lot of the programs.
There are some fundamental factors that drive growth of almost any industry, and we're seeing some very positive ones in the solar sector. Great reductions in price, huge spikes in terms of adoption, the establishment of mass-scale production. All of those things are very favorable.
This industry has gone from tremendous growth over the past 5 years, and now we're moving into a bit of a new area where we're going to see consolidation, and we are seeing continued pressures for decrease in price. And so the industry association will need to change along with that shift.
The driving force going forward is going to be different than it was in the past 10 years. Instead of cost savings, it's going to be climate change, CO2 reduction, clean energy, and then on-site power production with the FIT program, and of course lifestyle choices.
At the end of the day, though, I think what's going to drive the future of solar really is the youth of today and the emerging leaders that we're seeing come into this solar sector.
Now, the problem isn't conveying the message to the public, it's getting people to commit. So that's where I really believe CanSIA is successful, is because they help people develop a more in-depth understanding of renewable energy.
I believe that we will see great changes in this country. I believe the young people of Canada will make that happen. Stand up for solar, stand up for solar thermal and hot water heating, stand up for solar air, and stand up for solar PV.
The difference between the landscape today and 20 years ago is that almost everyone recognizes that solar is going to happen. It's not a question of whether it's going to happen, it's a question of when, where, and how.
That change is happening today, and I can be a part of it.
For more information about CanSIA, visit cansia.ca. To keep you updated on the world of solar energy, we've launched this new video series, Solar Television. You can watch these videos on any computer, tablet, or smartphone, and you can easily send them to colleagues and contacts using the share options next to this video player. Give it a try right now, and thank you for joining us today for the first episode of Solar Television.